Welcome to the Masters in Travel podcast. This is Brianna, and I'm doing another solo episode today. We're tackling one of the biggest growing pains I think there is for travel advisors, and that is figuring out when you're actually ready to hire. And let me clarify, because when I say hire, I am not talking about when you're ready to bring on ICs. And I'm also not really going to talk about specifically just maybe contracting out with the VA or something like that. I am really speaking about hiring an employee to support your business and support you. And so you might already have a VA who supports your admin work. But if you are listening and you are someone who has a solid business, consistent inquiries, and your systems are improving, but you feel like everything depends on you, this is the episode I think that you're going to want to listen to. You might be tired, but you're also cautious because hiring isn't cheap, and the idea of managing someone full time does feel big. Most of us have not had that in our business, either in our current business, obviously being a travel advisor, or in past businesses where we are hiring employees and responsible for them, and they impact and affect our business. This conversation for me, and why I wanted to record a podcast episode about this topic, started from a question someone asked a few weeks back after my presentation at Travel Pro Summit. And so an advisor wrote, I have two amazing VAs, documented systems, and growing revenue. But before I hire a client experience manager, I want to make sure I'm truly ready, both financially and mentally. And so that's the question I figured I would unpack today, because it is the question that I hear quite often in this stage and phase of business with the advisors I'm kind of like face to face with and having conversations with in, fam trips, at conferences, in my one-on-one coaching. It's because hiring really isn't just about workload. It's also about leadership, consistency, and trust. There's a lot that goes into it. So if you've ever wondered when it's time to bring on higher level support, or how to prepare so that hiring doesn't just add more stress, I think this episode is going to be very helpful for you. So let's start off with the real question behind, quote unquote, am I ready, right? This is when we say, and when I hear people ask the question, am I ready to hire? I think what we're really asking is two things. Number one, can my business sustain another salary besides my own? So that's the financial strain. And then number two, can I release control, trust someone else, and step into a true leadership role? That's the mental strain. So the strains can be twofold, and maybe you resonate really deeply with one or the other, or both. But I think both of them are probably present. There's a financial strain and there is a mental strain. So let's talk about the both of them. First, the financial strain. What this looks like is, hey, feeling like you are riding the revenue roller coaster. There could be one big month followed by two slow ones, and you don't really know why or when or how. It's just kind of like, what's this month going to bring? And so you're paying invoices or making decisions based on what is in your account today, and you don't really have a predictable flow of funds. You might hesitate to invest in like a mastermind or a big trip that you think would be helpful for your business because you're not actually confident in what's coming in the next month and the month after that, etc. And I think that this mindset needs to shift, because when it comes to hiring, you don't want to wait until you're absolutely drowning. You want to hire when your business has a rhythm, and a predictable one at that. Predictability is what allows us to sustain someone else's livelihood without fear. I think the first step in any kind of successful and sustainable business is our own livelihood, right? If we have this business and it is also responsible for our livelihood, we do want to get to a place where it is predictable and sustainable, and that we are actually an employee of our business and we know what we can pay ourselves each and every month. That is, I think, a very important step. And then the next step after that is allowing us to sustain someone else's livelihood without fear, because it is a big responsibility to take that on. And we don't want to not handle that with care. So how can we build towards that? Well, if you are not already, I highly, 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 highly suggest you get real comfortable with your numbers. Track your last 6 to 12 months of revenue and understand what your average monthly income, not your best month, because that's nice if you had, if June or July knocked it out of the park, but you need to understand the average monthly income. And what you're trying to ascertain from this information is, could you comfortably cover this new role's pay for the next 6 months, let's say, even if your next quarter is slower? So you go back and you look at the last 6 to 12 months and you say, okay, if my average monthly income is this, and I know my fixed business expenses is this, and I know what I'm paying myself, am I in a place to cover the paycheck of somebody else for 6 months? What is that? What is available to me now? The answer could be, oh, wow, I'm doing great and I actually could afford this. The answer also could be, that would be a little bit dicey. I am not quite sure. And if this continues, the predictable revenue that I'm seeing now for the last 6 to 12 months, if that continues, I might not be quite there yet. Here's my suggestion to you. Build what I call, or what's called, a shadow account. This is a separate savings account where you start kind of setting aside that person's future pay now. So for example, let's say you wanted to bring on someone and you're budgeting a salary for them, or what this role will cost, at $2,000 a month, right? So what you're going to do is start paying that into savings for 3 months before you actually hire someone. The reason for this is, number one, you're building proof of consistency and creating a safety cushion that gives yourself peace of mind once they start. Because it's not like you're not going to have that revenue coming in once they're hired, but you won't have that kind of like fear of, am I going to have that $2,000 this month? Because you already have that buffer set aside. And so yes, there's going to still be additional revenue for them, but if it isn't at yet the amount that you are paying them, you have that still accounted for. You don't have to worry, and it gives you peace of mind. So I highly, highly suggest you start to do that. And maybe it's not $2,000 a month, but you start somewhere and build that up, that nest egg that is set aside for a specific purpose. And that way, when you are ready to hire, those funds are there for the next 3 to 6 months, and you can continue adding to it as well. That's the financial strain. What does the mental strain look like? Well, I know what it sounds like. It sounds like advisors who think they can't imagine anyone doing things as well as you, right? You want help, but you still find yourself rewriting the emails or redoing the work that you've handed off to a VA. You will feel constant guilt delegating because you think it's faster if I just do it myself, i.e., I can do it better, I can do it faster. Why would I hand something off when I can just get it done really quickly? And this mindset needs to shift, because as CEOs, which, I love that phrase and that understanding of ourselves, our job isn't to do everything. It's to design the systems that allow everything to be done well. And that is a difference. So mental readiness means shifting from control to clarity. We need the clarity so that we can release control. But that is a shift that needs to happen. So if you're not there yet, if you're one of those people who really just thinks that nobody on this planet can do proposal building, email communication, dining recommendations as well as you, then this is how we build towards that not being the case. First, we need to define what success looks like for a role, not just what tasks you'll hand off. I've been saying this a lot lately, and I really, really, truly believe it, because you will be in a better place when you learn that you are delegating not just the task itself, but the outcome. And so when you can define what success looks like and then delegate that is when you truly begin to lift the load that you're carrying on your shoulders. You need to also understand that the trust that your secret sauce, because we all have it, but it can be documented and taught. If you can explain your thought process, you can also train someone else to reflect it. It is still yours. That secret sauce that makes your business unique and special and what you've built it on, that is still yours, but it also can be taught. And so explaining your thought process and training someone else that they will be able to reflect your idea of success and your brand experience is possible when you commit to that process. So ask yourself, what would need to be true for me to trust someone else with this responsibility? And then start building that structure now before you hire. All right. I want to get into some practical and tangible things that we can do. And so what I want to start with is the 5 signs you're ready for a higher level hire. How do you know when it's actually time to hire somebody like a client experience manager, like an operations manager? This is not just another catch-all VA. I believe most of us will start with a VA in some capacity, and that could be, anything as simple as 5 hours of work to help me build Travelify proposals, to help me invoice, to help me clear out my inbox, whatever the case may be. This is a higher level hire for a couple of reasons. They are going to know their lane and know their role, and they are going to be a consistent part of the support that you're building to up level your whole business and also give you back the freedom that you're probably feeling like you're missing. So that's the difference here, right? Let's talk about the signs that you're ready for this. Number one, you've hit a consistent rhythm in your business. What I mean by this is that you can predict your months within a reasonable range in terms of revenue. You're not just and everything that kind of like matters when we're measuring our business. So you're not just reacting to inquiries, you're forecasting. That stability tells you that your systems, and it's not just luck, that's driving results. I understand that there is a lot of fluctuation within our businesses and even within business models. But I also think that when you've been doing this long enough, and when you've been measuring and collecting data, you are going to be able to forecast with a good amount of predictability what your business should look like month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year. And so if you were not looking at this data now, go back 6 to 12 months again and calculate, hey, what has my average monthly revenue been? And then understand your lowest month because that's your floor and your highest month because that's your ceiling. And if your lowest months can comfortably cover what you're hoping to pay a new person on your team, you're good. You're ready for the next step. If you're not there, then that's what you have to work towards, because we're looking at average monthly revenue. I don't want to go out and hire 7 new people because my June was like crazy out of this world. I know overall what I average on a monthly basis for the year, right? And it might be a little bit higher, it might be a little bit lower, but I am paying salaries out for a team of 4 based on what I know and the predictability of my business. Okay, number 2, you already have baseline support working well. So this is because I'm assuming if you are listening to this conversation and understanding if this is for you, or just kind of like your future self is saying this information probably will be helpful for me, you have delegated before and know how to communicate expectations, deadlines, and deliverables. So the action step here is audit how your current delegation is going. You want to ask yourself, hey, what is working smoothly with this VA that I've been working with for the last 3 months? What still falls back on me that I wish it wouldn't? And if my VA that disappeared tomorrow or said they have a better gig and thanks but no thanks, they're going to greener pastures, what processes are documented enough that someone else could step right in? If you have a VA and they left tomorrow and you are back at square one, that tells me that you're not doing this delegation business as well as you could. This process of auditing your current delegation will tell you if you're managing systems or still managing people one task at a time. We want to get you to managing systems. Number 3, you know what this role owns. So this is the difference between hiring a role and hiring a helper. A VA should help. They are a doer. A role, like a client experience manager, an operations manager, what have you, owns outcomes. And like I said, there's a very big difference in not only the feeling, but also like what comes of it, of when somebody is owning not just the task, like I checked it off, but they're owning the outcome and the success of the outcome. For instance, my business has a lot of gift giving in different capacities, right? If I have a VA, they might have a task of, sending so-and-so a bottle of wine, as a gift. But my client experience manager owns gifting across our business in all ways. They are responsible for holiday gifts. They are responsible for personalized gifts that arrive before travel for the top 20% of our clients, which is something that we do. They are responsible for the referral thank you gifts that we send out, et cetera, et cetera. They are just responsible for all of it. It is their lane. We do discuss, hey, what's the budget for this? And what are our parameters? What does success look like? What are we hoping to achieve with this? What should we be tracking to see if this is working? But they own that lane completely. I do not sit at my desk and figure out what the Smiths should get before their safari to Africa. My client experience manager already knows what is the budget for this. What are we hoping to achieve? When should it arrive? What supplier are we using? All of that is in somebody else's brain and for somebody else to manage. We know the outcome. She knows the outcome and she is responsible. So the action step for this stage is to create a one-page role ownership document, because you want to understand what outcomes do you want this new person you're bringing in your team to own? What is hers to own? Hers, his, what have you, to own? And what would success look like in 90 days? 90 days, I think, is a good opportunity to assess, get people up to speed, and have them begin to own whatever their role is. So knowing what success would look like 90 days and beyond, right? Because success changes the more they are comfortable and ingrained into your business. Number 4, you've proven your systems can support growth. So this means that you as the business owner need to have your workflows mapped out. You need to have your CRM or your project management tools working effectively and efficiently, and you have enough structure built already for someone else to plug in confidently. This is a dropped ball, I think, for many of us, because we're so used to kind of just getting through and getting it done and doing it. And so from the client's perspective, things are great, things are smooth, but back in on the back end, it's a lot of duct tape going on. This doesn't work well when somebody else is trying to plug into what you do and handle their role successfully. If your team can't find something without asking you, it needs to be documented. Pretend for now that you're onboarding someone tomorrow and start to just ask yourself, where would they get stuck? And fix those problems before you even hire. It is so much easier to bring somebody into calm than into chaos. And then number 5, you have financial peace of mind. So this goes back to the shadow account that I introduced a little while ago, but creating a hiring fund before you even post a job, I think will reduce a lot of the anxiety that comes from the financial aspect of hiring somebody. So if you're able to set aside 3 months of the new role's pay, however long that takes you, do that before you even hire. If this is something that would be a point of anxiety, I don't think that we should pay ourselves less when we bring somebody on. I also don't think that there should ever be a point where we are not making the highest income in our business as well. So in case you are wondering. But once it's funded, you can just know that you're not hiring from hope, you're hiring from a place of security. And I think that this step alone will remove most of the anxiety advisors feel when expanding. Because remember, the goal of a good hire is to allow you not only just freedom and spaciousness, but also the ability to grow and scale. When you are not focused on day-to-day deliverables, you do have so much more space to understand how your business can grow and scale, how to really focus on attracting new, ideal, aligned clients. Ideally, that is where most of your time begins to stay, if that is what you're hoping to accomplish. And so a new hire, yes, is not on day one probably going to have this huge ROI, but the goal is over time that they do. And so if you have those 3 months to not worry about it, it just feels really, really good. So how do we do all this? It sounds great. And perhaps you're listening and realizing you're not quite here yet. That's not a bad thing. I think the reason why I feel passionate about this and why I want to keep talking about it is it's just that most of us are probably in a build-up season if we're not already feeling this now. And I want you to feel ready for when the time comes. So let's get to how do we get ready? Number 1, we need to document everything. We should be recording repetitive tasks. I love a good screen record. Tango is a good option for this, but when you're doing proposal prep, when you're doing final itinerary delivery, whatever you're doing, record it, screen record it, loom yourself. Do these things and then create a shared folder of checklists and templates. What is the quality assurance tech a final itinerary goes through? How do we know a proposal is ready to be sent? These should be checklists, templates, etc. And then writing out short how-to blurbs for each step, nothing fancy, just clarity, is super helpful to just starting to document what you do and why you do it. When you finally hire, you'll be able to onboard so much more quickly. It'll take you weeks and not months. The next step is refining your systems. If your workflows are heavily and almost entirely reliant on you, this becomes a problem. Say, for instance, you wanted to take a week off in your business, or you had to take a week off. Would your clients still be served? I hope so. I hope that you could be out of the office for a week and your clients, wherever they are at in the process, would still get the experience that you have set up. They would still get the documents they need, the emails they need, the check-ins they need, whatever needs to happen in your business could still happen without you if you were out of the office for a week. So focus on streamlining before scaling. And if you use a project management system, I highly suggest you do. This is something that will allow you to see this all, right? You're able to visualize tasks, deadlines, ownership, all of it. And so if you can see it, you can share it with somebody else. Number 3, strengthen your profitability. And revenue alone does not equal readiness here. It's about profitability. So I don't know how profitable your business is, but you should know that. I don't really care how much revenue is generated. I care about how much profitability your business has. And if you need to focus on that, then there's a couple of different areas to really kind of strengthen this area. Fees. Number 1, raise them if they're below your value. Start implementing them for everyone if you are not. Fees are the easiest way for predictable profitability or revenue because they come in every month. If you already know how many inquiries and your conversion rate and blah, 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 then fees are so easy to kind of help you in that way. Your focus on high margin trips. I would suggest reviewing kind of like your lowest performing clients and try to understand, hey, what is it about these that are maybe perhaps not the best fit for my business? And what kind of refinements do I need to consider in terms of who I'm marketing to, what I'm saying yes to, and I say this obviously with a caveat. There's all sorts of ways to be a profitable business. There is not one way. There is not a best way. I don't think necessarily the business I run is the most profitable in terms of time spent and money earned, but it's what I built and it's what I love. So I am making it work, but I am always assessing how profitable my business is. So the question to ask yourself is, if you booked 5 fewer trips next quarter, but earned the same or more, wouldn't that make hiring possible sooner? And I think that is the truth for all of us. And so how can we make that happen? Step 4, practice letting go. Start by delegating one thing that makes you anxious. And maybe that could be inbox sorting or calendar management or invoicing in client base, whatever the case may be. Every time you delegate, document what worked and what didn't. And this becomes your training manual for your future hire. So yeah, right now you might be hiring out to a VA service who gives you 10 hours a month or something like that. But if you get really good at delegating and documenting what's working and what isn't, then when you have this actual person on your team, you already have the training manual ready for them and they're off to the races. And then step 5, you need to prepare your own leadership muscles. So this is something I've learned and grown in the last few years. I was not born with this. I liked being independent because it's a lot easier to just lead myself. But when I step into a leadership role, there's a lot that I needed to learn. So scheduling weekly check-ins with your current VA or contractor allows you to practice giving feedback and not just fixes. It becomes communication both ways. Hey, how can I explain this better? What didn't make sense? Here's what I was looking for in terms of an outcome, and not just fixing it, right? You're learning to communicate results and not just the steps of things that need to be done. When you step into the CEO role, your job needs to shift from doing to deciding and from tasks to strategy. And so that is really, really important. And so these steps, I hope, are what prepare us to be in the right stage, both mentally and financially, to hire if that's where we see our business heading. And I think at this point, the real work begins, because once you hire, you really can't hide behind the work anymore and you have to lead. And I think that's what a lot of us are actually scared of. I'm fine if I can do all the things myself and make it all work. And if it's just me and I'm responsible for me and I do all the things, then I'm just literally hiding behind the work. But we're also on the flip side of that, getting burnt out and getting overwhelmed. And so the thing is, like, hire so that you have the freedom you want, but you also have to realize you cannot hide behind the work. You have to now learn how to lead. I think owning the vision is what gets you out of the weeds. You become the one who sets the direction, not the one who sends the itinerary PDF. It's easy to believe that you're the only one who can deliver on your brand secret sauce. And I know, because I used to think that as well, but that belief is what keeps us small. Your magic is bigger than that. It's not in the emails you send. It's not how you designed your client experience. It is how you've designed your client experience. So just because a client has received emails only from you, dealt only with you, heard only from you in the past, they appreciate the outcome. It is not so much about you specifically. It is about the client experience that you've built. And so that is what is important, your client experience, the relationships that you've worked on, and the standards that you hold your business to. All of these things can be taught. So as CEOs and owners of our own businesses, we kind of have to stop being precious about our process. If you've built something that truly works, it really should be able to live beyond you. And I think the best leaders don't clone themselves. What we're really trying to do is create environments where the team that we have can reflect our own excellence that we are really, really proud of. And that's what I think owning your vision really means. So here's what I hope that you are able to take away from this conversation today. Hiring is never just about adding help. It's about creating consistency, clarity, and capacity. So if your business feels too fragile to support someone else, focus now on building your systems and your confidence first. Because when your foundation is strong, hiring will not feel as risky and it will feel inevitable. Like, duh. So I know that this is a topic that not everybody might be able to relate to, but I hope that even if you're not in this place now, one day it will be the thing that you can come back to and be like, you know what? I am ready because I focus on my foundation and my foundation is strong. And regardless, honestly, if you ever do get to a point of wanting to have people on your team, having these foundations that we spoke about are important regardless. So this is honestly, it has been a topic that I've been coaching on a lot with my one-on-one coaching. And so you can probably tell that I'm pretty passionate about it. If there's people listening that are in this boat right now, I hope you have found something helpful and valuable. And if you just feel that maybe you're not there yet, you might find yourself here soon. And so I hope that you also are able to take away some important tips and tricks as you kind of continue to scale and grow your business in the way that feels really, really good. Because the key is to understand these concepts before you're ready, honestly. This is how you grow from just being a travel advisor into that CEO role. And I really, really enjoy having these conversations because I want to give people access to the freedom that they're looking for within their business. My waitlist for the one-on-one intensives, if you are interested, can be found on my personal Instagram, link in bio, or my website for Milk and Honey Travels. But thank you for listening. And as always, keep building a business that works for you, not just because of you. I will see you next time. Thank you.